looking at volume. Is it working? Oh my God, it's working. How lucky am I that it works? Fear and Greed down to 56 from yesterday's Sick-a-day. Bitcoin dominant 63.8%, 24-hour volume 73 billion in the overall market cap, 2.95 trillion. Give or take 100 million. Did you know most jazz chords, most jazz songs, and they'll the root, let's call it C, and they'll play the next semitone downs minor chord. So in this case, it would be C, B minor. You can see how it kind of has that ending, almost questionable, what's going on here? So if we were to take F, you wanted to make that jazz ending, you would play E minor, which is one semitone. Anyway, nothing going on in the old crypto market today. It's the same price it was yesterday, exactly to the number. It's so fascinating here, though. I am still worried about this negative bearish divergence. And the thing is about divergence is that, you know, lower lows or depending where you put the arrows, everything's manipulatable, right? But what we're going to do here is just take a look at this negative divergence of the reversal kind. I'm hoping it plays out, right? You can see how, you know, we're still trending down on the MACD and the RSI, yet we're heading up on the old 4-hour chart. Now, she's a noisy little so-and-so, so a lot of things can happen. And, you know, for lack of better words, we're just consolidating here. We're really doing nothing. But it is negative bearish divergence, nonetheless, something to take a look at. Some areas of support would be down here at 93K, psychological, and it's the 23.6% fib. And then maybe where we began this this top of this consolidation period, which is 92.1. Then if she's so darn tootin', look at this, down at our resistance, 88.8. You know, I've been saying this number. This is a weird number. We like 80. The Asians love 88.8. This is where they either sell or buy. 88 point, not all of them, but you know, we're talking about superstitious. Do you guys ever hear that song, Superstitious Feeling, riding all around my head? Anyway, it was written in Winnipeg. It's a Winnipeg band called, God damn it, I don't know it. And interesting enough, here's a little story. The guitar player for this band, God, what the hell's a band is it? It's kind of a famous classic rock band. Anyway, he became a talent developer of sorts. I use the term loosely. And anyway, I was writing songs with and for this girl that I worked at a bar. Her name was Ashley. And then she was in an ABBA cover band. You know what, let's do the TA first, and then we'll come back to this, you know, just so we remind me what I was talking about, too. I always get sidetracked here. Anyway, because there's big things on the daily chart here. There's big things. If you can see, if we really zoom out here, we have what some legacy analysts would call a hella bull flag. You can see right there. There's the stem and then the flag, right? Harlequin. That's it, JP. The band's called Harlequin. Look up, you know, obviously not now during the beloved stream, but after Superstitious Feeling. It's by Harlequin, I think. Pretty sure. Anyway, you take the pole, you slide it all to the breakout point, which happens to be the resistance of this channel of eternal monotony. And we get to 106.9. Oh, you can't see that. 106.9, which was, you know, somewhere in this channel of ascension. We would kind of be in the midst of that channel of ascension. So this is what's going to happen here, too. There's another more bullish pattern. You know, it's the old W. It's the old W pattern. Let's do it out here. Do it real proper. Like whoosh, 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 whoosh. I mean, oh, that's the worst arrow. But you get what I mean. It's the W pattern. And now if we were to get out of here, find the probability of this price pattern, we would take the pull from the bottoms, and then we take it to basically the neckline, which at this is also this key breakout point, which we're fighting right now, of 95.8. That is really to keep your papers on, is that level here. You take the pull, you slide it all to the breakout point, and then, that's the fibs, to the breakout point, and then we're all at 115. That would be outside of this channel of ascension. We would have blasted through it, and at some point, we'll always respect these imaginary lines on the chart. We'll always respect them, right? So we have two bullish breakouts, 106 and 115. You can imagine at 106, things start to get exciting again. People start to get revving up. You can see the MACD is kind of curling under. Don't like that, Maybe we've petered out for this leg up, maybe. Because we have just been sitting here. You really look at it. This is since last Wednesday, so a week. This is what we've been doing in this bull market, consolidating for what seems like forever. And then we bust out into a new leg up. Now, there's a lot of things that can happen in the next couple of days. I know MicroStrategy or Strategy B is coming out with its earnings. And I think they're going to post a loss. But we all know what's going on here. See, this is where the markets get weird. We know MicroStrategy will probably be one of the most profitable businesses. It'll rewrite the economic history books. Or, now, and this is where I get a little conspiratorial. He's such a disruptor when it comes to how finance works in general. Like he's almost like found the glitch. And the glitch was put in for others to make lots of money. They knew the glitch. And all of a sudden, Michael Saylor was just like, you know what, I just do this. It's like a washing machine that just funnels out endless money. And then he cracked the code, right? So my worry is that the concentric circle of power and money, don't like guys like Michael Saylor cracking the code. Because once the code is cracked, everybody joins the cracked code. And that's what we see here, right? We see all these businesses coming on board and looking at Michael Saylor going, that seems interesting. I never thought about that because I went to university and I got a PhD in Keynesian economy. So that's all I know is that BS. But this guy, he seemed to crack the code. Instead of our trinket and widget business that is slowly going out of business, why don't we take what profits we do have and invest into this flywheel of Bitcoin? And then we will guarantee our future by our treasury. So it's an interesting take. And my worry is that it's probably financially, it's as much as the disruptor as how AI is going to disrupt everything. So I had a lot of comments about the video with the kegger and using AI, and a lot of people were like, don't use AI. AI is this, or AI is that, or AI is this, or AI is that. And yeah, it is. But you're never stopping AI, and it's just getting better and better and better every day, because we're now engaging in the exponential doubling time of technology that's evolving by itself. It's just wild to think. So it's going to come out. We're going to get the hockey stick effect of the technological parabola. That's a big word at 8 in the morning. Technological parabola. It's just going to start evolving by itself. So like yesterday, I make the thumbnails for the live piano bar with this AI app that kind of takes our face and those catfish. We're all cut and nice long hair, great mustaches. And now it says, now you can animate it, right? So I was sending him to Kyle, like, he's freaking out. Like, they're not great, but just the fact that I'm like hitting a number, like hitting a prompt, and it generates it, that in itself is so crazy. Anyway, back to back to this. I had a couple stories. I had another cruise ship story that I was going to tell. It's a pretty crazy one too. I don't know why I thought of it. This W pattern, hella bullish. This bull flag pattern, hella bullish. Weekly chart, bumping our heads up on the 23.6% fib. You see, price action, it just remembers these psychological Fibonacci's. That's all they are. And we're going to bump our heads against them, and then we're going to find support at them. Holy, he's frogging me throat. It's that time of year. I don't know. I always think, is it the leaves coming out? Is it affecting my throat? I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, we're really doing nothing until we're into this channel again, which is about at 98K. Once we're in 98K, let's move this up here. 98K, we're going to be here. So anyway, that's about it that's happening. There's this one thing in the market. I like this head. I'll go and what's going on there? You can't really see that, can you? No. Anyway, it says Bitcoin volatility lowest in 563 days. Hayes predicts, Artie Hayes, 1 million Bitcoin by 2028. And usually I don't really care about headlines. I know everybody reads the news. You can just go to each channel and someone's reading the news. But who doesn't like $1 million Bitcoin predictions? Bitcoin volatility drops to 560-day low, suggesting asset maturity as Artie Hayes forecasts a 1 million Bitcoin price by 2028 amidst rising ETF flows and investor confidence. Like this price point, it seems crazy, but it is inevitable. This is just the number go up technology, and this is the CAGR that we were talking about the other day. So all these, as fascinating and as fantastically, it fills our heads with bullish fervor. It seems crazy. But I remember at $10,000, people even saying 20K. 20K, what are you, nuts? You think it's going to double from here? And like 2 months later, it's at 60, right? And so now even at 10, I remember people talking about 100K. The 100K was the million. So now we look at million, we're like, oh my God, that's crazy. But at one point, 100K was that price point. And everyone was like, that's never going to happen. And of course it did. Now we got to get back up there to just reinstall the bullish fervor. Right now we're getting rejection from 95. Hopefully 94 holds, but at the same time, we're just consolidating in a never-ending chop suey. So it doesn't really matter until the next leg up. So again, I think that the MicroStrategy news earnings, I don't know when it's coming out. Is it tomorrow morning or after hours? A lot of these companies do it after hours, but it doesn't really matter because all these, when you think about this, so this $1 million price point, where it is, when it's going to come, you got to look at it like a never-ending baseball game filled with innings, right? And so, like, let's say the MicroStrategy comes out and they post $5 billion loss, right? We know what's going on. I mean, the market might not, right? And the market quant bots don't know. They're just negative, sell, negative, sell, negative, sell, negative, sell, negative, sell. I was hoping that I had a drum beat there. Negative, sell, negative, sell, negative, sell, negative, sell. Anyway, it didn't work out as well. So anyway, so the market will react that way. Why is it so low? Negative, sell. That's better. Negative, sell. Negative, sell. That's what goes on in the quant bots. Anyway, when it comes to the financial journey, look at it as a never-ending baseball game with innings. Top of the inning, bottom of the inning. Bear market, bull market, top, bottom. And so this massive thing that comes out, let's say they post $5 billion losses, and then the market reacts. Well, it's at the bottom of some inning that you ask yourself in 3 months, what inning was that when MicroStrategy's second earnings came out and it was minus $5 billion or something? Do you remember what inning that was? You'll ask all your friends in the know. They'll be like, yeah, it was, I don't know. Right. So these things, they're kind of pointless. They come and go and, they move the market as is. But, it's just noise. Right. Follow signal, ignore the noise. Oh, I went to play the drums. Sometimes in the live piano bar, when I'm playing the drums and Kyle's singing and playing piano, I think to myself, I'm probably the best finger drummer maybe in the world. That's what I say to myself. A, You probably don't see them anywhere. I don't know, outside of Cal and I, there's not too many finger drummers in the world, let alone as good as we are at finger drumming, or what I like to call it finger banging, right? But, and then I also think I've played with some drummers in my life that I'm like, I'm a better finger banger drummer than most of the drummers I've played with. Anyway, back to the story. Good morning, Randy Hipper. Good morning, Black Hat Team. Good morning, Lasers, the Shadow Chaser, and Bruce Mai, Jimmy Cocos. Now listen, I was writing songs for, it wasn't really with, because she wasn't a songwriter at the time. She grew into a songwriter. Her name was Ashley, and she was a waitress. She was a beer girl, right? But she was, so remember yesterday on the 5 never dates for men, servers, bartenders, also like the beer girl and the golf cart girl. Those are also the same type of things. And the reason is that because they're usually hired by one of the nerdy owners. So that a nerdy loser owner of the bar will go and see a pretty girl, and the only leverage they have is, hey, do you want to come work at my cool bar? Right. And you can make $100 for 4 hours. Right. So that's how these pretty girls end up being golf cart girls, pop-up bar, not a real bar, like not a real functioning bar, but like a weird pop-up bar. They'll put a pretty girl in and they'll like, can I get 2 beers? And it'll take her like 2 minutes to, I'm not sure how to get this bottle off. Right. It doesn't matter. They're there for their looks. Anyway, she was one of these beer tub girls. And she told me she was an ABBA. She was a singer in an ABBA cover tribute band. I'm going to try to make this as short as possible. And I was like, oh, cool. And so she would sing every now and then. I'm like, yeah, she's got great. I just, if you're a singer, you tell pitch and tone right away. So I'm like, why don't we get together? I've written a bunch of songs. The first batch was the songs I wrote for Britney Spears back in the day when I used to go down to LA and write these songs for people. So first I gave the songs to her, try these songs. And it just wasn't in her personality wheelhouse. She was more kind of rootsy, so to speak, not because the songs I wrote for Britney Spears were just like Britney Spears kind of BS songs. And anyway, so I started writing songs and then the guy from Harlequin, I'm going to leave his name out of here because he doesn't really deserve any accolades. He caught wind of her and the songs and started coming on board. And it's like, I can really push this to, places where it's got to be. I got connections, I could do this for you guys. Okay. All right, sure. Well, we're not doing anything. We're just working in a bar on the weekend and writing songs in the day. And we would go to the studio and kind of put our voice on songs. I also had a friend who was about to quit music and move down to Sarasota, Florida to lay tiles for his uncle or something. But he was a really talented songwriter, singer. We were actually in a band together called Vanderveen. And that's with the Weekend Full of Weekends, the hit in Canada for a microsecond. And I said, hey, before you move, why don't you come and, write some songs with me and for this girl. She's pretty enough to be a star. Like and he's like, is she a good singer? I'm like, nah, she's good enough, but she's pretty enough to take her where she needs to be. So we started writing songs. And then what happened is that like you'd write a song and then for like a month, that would be like the song that was going to get her a deal. And then the shine wore off. And then another song would be the next song. And then out of the blue, this is why I remember the story with Remy Shand and why I don't like to produce people, because great things happen. And then pianomattyb is still piano. Next thing you know, there's talks about a record deal. And then that was it. I was out of the loop. I never really talked to them again. She's now a lawyer in California. And the guy who, my friend, he is a postman now. And they gave it a good shot. And they had about as great as opportunity as anyone could have. They blew it, but it wasn't because they weren't talented enough. They were truly talented singers and songwriters. Him more songwriter, her more singer. But that they didn't have one thing. And that one thing is delusion. They weren't delusional enough to hang out through the long term. It was like they either get a deal or they quit. And then, they would get a deal. I think it was a Network Records. And it's a Canadian kind of indie pop. Not sure if they're even around anymore. Maybe they are. They were like, I think Nelly Furtado started on there, and Sarah McLachlan might have started on there and then branched out. So it was almost like a jumping point for smaller acts. You get signed to Network, and then maybe you would get a bigger deal with, a bigger company. They never did. And I don't think they had the delusion to keep going, like me playing piano into my ripe old age. That takes delusion. And, I think that's what makes me a good Bitcoin investor as well, is that I can wait it out. I've seen ups and downs. I've seen incredible highs and incredible lows. And at the end of the day, my life doesn't really change. If you think about it, if you think about last bull run, 2021, and at 69K, it seemed unbelievable. A lot of people making plans for the rest of their life. Their life didn't change. Their unrealized gains. And then, oh my God, it went down to 15K. And then life didn't change. Life was the same at 15K as it is at 69K. Now we're at 94K. Life is still the same as it was at 69K and 15K. I like to think when Bitcoin finally hits $1 million, maybe life will be a little bit different. However, my fear is that inflation and, cost of living, and now we're in Canada now. Like, I'm in Canada and like, it's basically a failed state, Canada. And so things may get a lot uglier here before they end up getting remotely normal. But what I think is going to happen is, I don't believe in like country and territory and tribes. I believe that mafias run everything. And there's a political power elite that are just a big mafia, and they have their godfathers in all these territories. In Canada, they have a godfather, and they put these godfathers in to run the racket, which is Canada. Let's strip Canada of every resource it has, and you're going to be the one to do it. And you got to fool all the dummies into putting you in. And even if you don't get voted for, well, we got ways to put you in. Anyway, my 4D chess that I think's happening with this Canada debacle is that they want. I truly believe the power, like the North American Union, back when 2010, when I'd be telling people about the North American Union, Agenda 21, this was chemtrails. I was the insane person, right? But they wanted to institute a North American Union. Now, these people are intergenerational, so it takes their life's work is just an inning, right? Remember the innings? So like the people that are working on these Agenda 21s and Agenda 30s, it's their life work. It's just one inning and amongst infinite innings of power, right? So, they want to institute this North American Union. I think they bring in this mob boss to, divide the country up. And then once the country's divided up, it's just, it's like taking candy from a baby once you have division amongst the people. So what's going to happen is that they'll divide the prairies, which is, Manitoba is a prairie thing, but it also elbows Ontario. And Ontario and the East Coast are the worst. They're basically, half the population there weren't born in Canada, so they're going to vote for whoever gives them the most free shit, essentially. Whereas you might not know this, but Alberta pays for Canada. It has to pay out the provinces every year. Or else Canada would be broke. So Canada has been a failed state for a long time. Canada is like that restaurant where if you don't tip the servers, they go out of business. It's like, well, why don't you pay the servers more? Well, we can't afford it. Well, what kind of business is this? Anyway, because there's all the oil in Canada. So what's going to happen is that my 4D chess thing here is that he was there to divide into East Coast, West Coast, prairies in BC will secede into the States, because they'll get the best deal ever. Because imagine looking at Alberta is like a little Dubai of sorts with the amount of oil Now, it's not the greatest oil, but it's still a lot of oil. So it can be given the greatest sweetheart deal ever. And then the prairie provinces will come in. And next thing you know, this won't, I don't think it'll happen right away because we're talking about intergenerational what have yous that, takes a long time. Maybe 2030. Who knows? But, that's what's on deck. And that's what's going to happen. What's going to happen today? I don't know. Probably sit there. Do absolutely FA.
Make sure